This one is my 98, 24 or longer. Now, Barcelona will be number 99, and then Coda will be number 100.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Algarve region of Portugal. Welcome to Portimao. This is a city proud of Portuguese history, commemorated at the 1st of December Park. The city's own history is highlighted at the Teixeira Gomes Square. That's in honour of the Portuguese president that gave Portimao city rights. For many centuries, fishing was the major source of income. Then the 1755 earthquake destroyed the city. But the advent of tinned fish gave new life to the town. Nowadays, of course, also relies on income from tourists and has a bustling nightlife too. But our entertainment this first weekend of July 2019 is at the local Formula 1 test circuit.
We're at the Autodromo do Algarve in Portimao, Portugal, for the 24 hours of Portimao. It's our 5th race this year, and we're looking forward to a good race. We have a lot of cars in the GT division, some in the TCE division, and overall we are very happy to see many GT3 cars this race. We're also happy to see a good mix of gentlemen, amateur and professional drivers here on the grid. The new team Virage with the Aston Martin GT4, they bring in local legend Pedro Lamy, ex-Formula 1 driver. We're very happy to see these people on their home turf joining our series as well.
Well, I think it's cool. I mean, my first time here, and seems to be a cool atmosphere, and the people always quite relaxed. I enjoy to be here.
Being here with the Creventic guys, the 24-hour series, it's just the best. I love racing in this series. My first time in Portugal. What an amazing racetrack. All the elevation changes, driving the Mercedes, I'm having the best time.
The track is very happy to welcome back this endurance series for the 3rd year.
Well, it's a great race. I think they have evolved a lot since the first event. There are a lot more cars, more professional teams, and you can see that the level of the championship has gone up. And for us, it's an honor to have such a championship here on a regular basis.
Qualifying was split into 2 sessions, one for the touring cars and one for the GTs. In the TCE series, the overall pole claimed by AC Motorsport.
It was quite a big push. I mean, I think getting pole is never easy, even if there are not that many cars in the class. But there are some very good drivers. So yeah, I just pushed, and on my first hit was quite okay, but I was 4/10 off. And then I just tried to give it all on the second set, and it worked out for us, so that's good.
In A3, the Synchro Motorsport Honda takes the top spot.
The qualification for our team, it was kind of interesting. It was a good lap for us, possibly, or we could do the pole position in our class, and I'm quite happy to do the start for us.
And in the GT division, Herbert Motorsport have brought 3 cars to the track, and their number 93 takes pole position.
Actually, it was quite tight. I managed to do a very good lap. The car was in a great balance. But the Ferrari next to us and also the cars behind us, the Porsche and Mercedes, were also pushing and took 2 tires. But luckily, in the end, we managed to stay in front on pole.
Each of the classes have their own pole sitter.
It was quite tough. Really good for us because the current pole is amp, so without 30 kilos. I don't know, the race is 24 hours, so the position now doesn't matter.
Qualification went well. We did some adjustments on the shocks and wing settings. Eventually we came down to 48, which was more than enough to be on pole. It was not easy, but it was a good flying lap with a good slipstream.
Our qualification was quite good. We took pole position. It was quite hard to take the lap because we had quite different conditions compared to the free practice. But in the end, it's most important to take pole position, and we did it.
As there are a lot of hours in darkness, all of the drivers have had to run in night practice.
The night practice was especially long because I start with a 60 cord. The tires have 3 hours and do the same times in the day.
What can we expect from the race?
Weather expectations are good. Yesterday it was a bit chilly, especially for this time of year in Portugal, but it will be around 25-27 degrees and of course dry.
Expectation, we'll never know. Just like in endurance, at the moment I think that we are not far away on the grid, but in endurance the start is not very important, so the race will be long, 24 hours. Many things could happen. The car is very reliable, so we can expect maybe a podium.
I think if we keep ourselves clean, run a solid race, we've got a good pace. We're not the fastest car out there, but we've got a really smart, consistent group of drivers and a really good crew. I think you'll see us on the podium.
What we saw yesterday in qualifying was a lot of changes. Pole positions decided quite late in qualifying, and Portimao is a circuit where anything can happen. A lot of unexpected turns, so we're going to have a good race. I'm confident for that.
Missing from the start grid were 2 of the Herbeth Motorsport cars, including the championship contender, the number 91 Porsche. They were delayed at the fuel station.
Now we were behind 2 other cars and were stuck a bit there. So the pit light changed to red and we were 50 seconds too slow there. So in the end, it was our mistake.
The warm-up laps are underway, but one car is already back to its pit crew.
Well, it was at the starting line that when you put on the fire extinguisher that we saw that it wasn't active. And it worked all race, everything was working all the time. We replaced the cables of the extinguisher.
Back to the cars on the track, the pace car pulling off into the pit lane. The 2 warm-up laps are completed, and now it's up to Klaus Bachler in the Herbeth Motorsport 93 car to lead the field towards the start of the Hankook 24 Hours of Portimao. The lights go out and the field are getting ready to put their cars and their drivers to the test in this 24-hour endurance race. At the head of the field, the number 93 Herbeth Porsche.
Bachler was too fast for me, and he had a AM car with less 30 kilos, so maybe it's better, and also the Porsche in this circuit were really strong, but we know that the race is 24 hours and we just need to wait.
At the beginning it was very close. It was making my life not so easy, but we were a bit better over the distance, and also I think through traffic we were a little bit better where I could make a gap, I think about 15 seconds or something like this.
Of course, there are 2 divisions in this series, so let's go back to a start where we look at the TCE division. An early fight for the lead here too. The number 188 AC Motorsport Audi started from pole, but by turn 3, the lead has been taken by the number 131 Top Car Cupra, who started from 3rd. But by lap 3, Sam de Jonge has taken back the lead.
I had quite a decent start and try and defend my position a bit, but it was a bit, I mean, it's a discovery how long the tires will last in that first stint.
Back in the pack, the car collection number 34 Audi and the Mercedes AMG Team Driving Academy number 500 are battling for position.
Yeah, the 500 did also a good start. I think Hubert Haupt was in the car, and after a few laps I could close the gap between him, so I was directly behind him, and the Mercedes had a lot of good traction out of the corner, so it was very hard to drive against him. But we had a great battle, and at the end I got him in turn 5, I think.
About 9 minutes into the race, and welcome to the contest, the 454 Mercedes. Now they have their fire extinguisher working. Jimmy de Bruyke has 24 hours to make up for those lost minutes in the pits. As the race leaders catch the back of the field, that creates gaps.
With the 4 quickest cars we were in a row, but after, let's say, 20 minutes there was a gap between the first and the second, between the second and me, and I had already a big gap to the fourth car after 20 minutes.
The TCE lead changing hands.
Yeah, in the beginning with the Audi, yeah, he was in a rush, so I let him go. But then in the second wave of GT cars, I managed to pull some gap to him. So yeah, it was good.
After 45 minutes of racing, Thomas Jaeger brings in the Hofer BMW. They have a 20-second lead in the GT4 class, but they've hit a problem.
We had a left front tire puncture and we needed to pit. We lost the whole lead. It was about 30 seconds or 25 seconds. Needed to pit early, 30 or 35 minutes, and this is also a very time-intensive course for us. And the result of how much we lost there, we will see later on if we need to make one pit stop more than the others or not.
The first driver changes have now taken place, and in the Pro number 11 Ferrari, it's amateur driver Jiri Pasirik. He's battling the pro driver Klaus Bachler in the 93 Porsche, which is in the amateur class.
They did double stint, the 93 Porsche, and they gained like half a minute. For me, impossible to catch such a driver, but this is not what I should do. This is Matteo's work. I should just keep the car on the position where I get the car, not worse.
It looked like tyre problems for the number 101 Cupra from Red Camel. When Henry Littig comes into the pits, it's clear the tyres were not the issue.
Suddenly the car went in the rear down and he had to come in, and when we saw it, the whole mounting on the top of the suspension broke. It was the first time that it broke that way, and it was brand new equipment, so we are a little bit struggling to understand how that could happen.
30 minutes into his stint, Stéphane Perrin has to return to the pit garage.
We have some electronic problem. We have engine stop, and sometimes it's okay. It's on again, and after 2 times the engine lost only turn on 3 cylinders.
There was a quick repair earlier for the BMW number 869, but it looks like the problem hasn't been solved completely. Michael Bonk coming back to his pit crew.
So the first stint from Markus Fischer was very good, but the end of the stint, he has no power, and I changed with him from my one stint, I think 15 laps and no power. And we checked the turbo. Turbo is broken, and now we changed it.
The number 717 from Cor Oyser in for a pit stop, and the team needs to tackle 2 issues.
My stint was finished, it was time to pit, but we had an issue with the battery. As I said, we needed to change the battery, and unfortunately, again, the wheels did not come off as they should, so we spent a long time trying to fix that, getting the wheels off the car.
3 hours underway now, but as this is a 24-hour endurance race, we've barely scratched the surface. This is endurance.
Endurance is a combination of being fast, consistent, and try always to bring the car back. We need to save the car and try to finish the race, because the target is to bring the car back to your teammates and keep going and have a good result at the end.
When you race in a 24-hour endurance event, your work doesn't just start on race day. Before the Saturday green flag, there are free practice sessions, qualifying and night sessions. But no driver is allowed to compete until they have attended the driver's briefing. Let's find out what that's all about from the clerk of the course.
During this briefing, we as clerk of the course, together with the race director, will explain the most important regulations of the event and the specific rules of this track and where they have to look out for. And during the briefing, we make some agreements together with the drivers how to perform on track.
And even if you've already participated in a race in the 24-hour series by Hankook, it's still essential to be here.
What we now try to do is also to explain some things happened in the races or events before, and to give some experience from that. So we are not always explaining the same things, we also explain the particular things of this track and what we have learned in previous events.
Drivers know how important these briefings are.
I think it's a procedure. You have to be sure that everybody knows what's written, and it's a way to not accept any excuse further on. It was not said or whatsoever. So I think it's a need.
We usually know the procedure quite well because we are already in a 24-hour series for some time. I think now it's the 4th season. So now we just listen to the clerk of the course, what are the differences, to see where the penalty box is and where we cannot exceed the track limits. That's the most important. Also the starting procedure and all the other details which may change and which may be different on a different racetracks where we go.
Oh, I like it. They make it very short. They make condensed information. They give us a paper. So it's not boring. It's something which has to be done. And so I think it's of value for us.
It's compulsory to attend. So what happens if a driver doesn't show up?
We do not give any penalties like fines. But for example, if a team is not showing up during this briefing, then we will do the briefing during their qualifying session. So they will lose valuable time in the qualifying session.
This is the Hankook 24 Hours of Portimao. Knocking on the door of the top three, the Herbert Porsche, number 91. In the last couple of races, they lost out on the overall win by mere seconds to the number 11 Ferrari.
For sure, we try to switch the result from the last two races. Looks like it's really, really small, the gap between both cars after 4 hours. It's only 30 seconds or 38 seconds. So, yeah, we stay in contact with them. It's always really close racing. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, we will see what happens the next hours.
That opposition, the Bohemia Energy Racing with Scuderia Praha Ferrari, is into the pit for a driver and tyre change. A fast pit crew makes sure the car will not lose the race in the pit lane. However, they nearly do.
I didn't understand the guys who let me go, but when I started, I saw in the mirror the big Mercedes in my mirror, but fortunately he braked and we were lucky because the collision was really close. We get a penalty for unsafe release. That's correct.
On the track, the CP Racing number 85 is on the receiving end of a touch.
The traffic is obviously always challenging at this place as well. I came upon a battle between two GT4 cars and tried to go around the outside and leave them room, and obviously it wasn't enough room. They were battling on the inside and we touched each other. I went and spoke to the other driver afterward. It was no harm, no foul. No damage to either car.
The 172 in the gravel, and that's the first Course 60 of the race.
The rear of the car glides. I don't know what. I was accelerated.
The car is recovered and the clerk of the course evaluates the damage on the track. How did Michael enjoy his stint before the incident?
It was very difficult in this stint because of the heat, and it's difficult to have a good line because of the heat.
At the front of the field, the number 11 Ferrari, the 91 Porsche. The battle for first position between these contenders is on again.
It was a really good fight against the Ferrari. We could catching up to him and then tried to pass him outside in the last corner, but he was really on a good position for the next corner. So we tried to make the next maneuver, but then he went a little bit wide and I could overpass him in the inside. So it was a really good fight, more than 3 corners. It's a good fight all the race long, and yeah, very happy about that.
5th position, the 17 and 93 cars battling for a spot, but they still need to anticipate what other cars will do.
Of course, you always have in your mind that he don't see you, yeah. And this, of course, in a 24 hours race, I'm always on my brake, and I have in my mind that he don't see me and that he come in. But so that's why we don't have an accident.
Earlier, the number 676 Synchro Honda had their rear left bumper damaged. They removed that one, and now the rear right is damaged.
Yeah, so mainly it's been debris flicking up from the back wheels that has been damaging the bumper. That's the main issue we've had today. So lots of debris and electrical problems.
It's a ball of rubber that's picked up from the rear tyres that has been causing the problem, and Synchro Motorsport have been searching for a solution.
It's been every race. We haven't managed to fix it yet. So we've tested a few ideas. We did a change in the last race as well. So I think the guys, it's going to be our challenge for Barcelona is to try another solution.
Enjoying his stint? Michael Schrey.
I was pretty exciting. I mean, we have a 5 or 6 laps lead right now, and so we can go a little bit more comfortable than usually. But I had a nice fight with Aston Martin in the end of my stint, and that was a lot of fun.
The 188 Audi of AC Motorsport into the pits from 3rd overall in the TCE division, and they'll have a brake service in this pit stop as we look at the standings of the race after 7 hours. 7 o'clock in the evening, Bohemia Energy Racing number 11 Ferrari holding the lead. The 91 has just done its pit stop and the Porsche is now 2 laps down on the race leader, but of course the number 11 Ferrari is due for its pit stop soon, so the gap will rebalance itself. The number 93 is back in the top 3 and is only a lap down on their teammates. In TCR, the top car sport number 131 Cupra leads the race. The gap to the 112 Volkswagen from Motorama is just a lap. That's a little less than it was earlier. The 188 Audi have just had their brakes changed at the 7-hour mark. They're now 4 laps away from 2nd position, but they've got 3 laps on the 4th place car, so their 3rd spot is quite safe for the moment. Portimao circuit is certified for Formula 1 testing, and it's a very demanding track.
Well, I think that the last corner, it's a very fast and there is a downhill that increases as you are in the middle of the corner, so the car moves and it's very fast. You have also this corner, Craig Jones corner, that it's a very challenging corner for you to do flat, high speed also. And then you have Portimao corner that you go uphill, you don't know where you're going, and then you have a double right-hander. So all the corners here, they have some difficulty. There is not an easy corner on this circuit. And I think that is why it's so special.
The drivers tend to agree.
This is a track between like a bit of Spa together with Austin, and it's a mix of different tracks that makes the track unique.
For the first time here, it's not pretty easy because you have to memorize it first, and after that, you have a lot of technical corners. So it's very demanding, but even if you drive it here a lot, it's still a challenge because you always can improve a little bit more in some sector of this track.
It is, of course, possible to practice this track on a simulator.
You can't simulate this kind of elevation change, the kind of loading that a driver gets in the car, the G-loads, the compression down inside, and even like night practice, where you can see where you're going during the daytime, but at night the lights are shining in all different areas. So for me, the first time being here, it's awesome. I don't know why more people don't know about this place. Being from the United States, I didn't know anything about this racetrack, but I'm coming back for sure.
This well-liked autodrome wasn't created by a famous track designer.
It was designed by our team and a big part by me, so it's not a Tilk design, it's our design, and that's why we are so proud of it also.
Sun is setting over the Algarve Hills and it's getting a bit windy. The Hoffa number 869 BMW has already spent 5 hours in the garage to change their turbocharger, but Michael Bonk has returned to the race with still over 16 hours racing ahead of them. Yeri has just finished his stint in the Bohemia Energy Ferrari, and judging by the sweat on his brow, it was a tough one.
Actually, the stint before was harder because of the sun and the temperature. Now it's getting easier a bit, but it's getting dark, so the drivers who are not able or used to drive in the night will have it now much harder. I think like 2-3 stints if they are driving like 4.
By 9 o'clock, finally the sun is disappearing behind the hills surrounding the Portimao Autodrome.
It's going to be very tough at night time because it'll be very dark. It's very hard to understand what's happening on track. The grip will drop also. So it's going to be challenging for all the drivers for sure.
Oh, problems at the first corner with 2 cars off. The 717 avoided the Mercedes and now can restart and resume the race. But there's troubles for Jimmy de Bruyke in the QSR 454. He is out of the car, but the car is alight.
Wel hier op het einde van het rechte stuk op hoge snelheid, op een 150.
At the end of the main straight, at high speed, the car locked up and he heard his brakes explode. He tried to brake, but the brakes were gone. Due to the spilled brake oil, he spun and ended up in a gravel trap. He didn't touch anything, but the car caught fire.
Maar de wagen is al wel in brand gevlogen.
Have a look at these images and the lights of the third oncoming car. The car totally shuts down.
There was an accident with a lot of oil, and I braked for the code yellow zone, and then I drove above something, I don't know, and then after I drove over the thing, my whole car was out and no power, and I wasn't able to shift or to do the radio stuff with my team. I don't know what happened.
The result in Code 60 is an ideal moment for pit stops and for teams to deal with small issues on the cars.
We are having really bad problems with our cameras, and we couldn't see where the driver was on the track. So that camera there, hopefully it's working. It was an electrical fault. We've switched a wire.
It's also a good time to do a brake change.
We were using the Code 60 to replace our brake pads. In an endurance race, 24 hours race, a brake set doesn't last for all 24 hours, and so we had to replace them, and Code 60 is a great opportunity to do so.
Back to green flag racing, but it's not long before the synchro mechanics are out again. They're waiting for the number 676, who is not on the racing line.
We had front hub brake on us, so it kind of knocks the brakes out because the disc moves around and it pushes the pads back. It means you have no brake pedal at all.
Did he take the wrong line here, expecting this to be the pit lane?
No, that's the last turn is very, very fast and it's blind. And I was very conscious that I was travelling really, really slowly. So I didn't want to end up over the brow going slowly, and one of the GT cars comes over the top and finds me in the circuit going slowly. So I pulled to the inside. There's a big yellow painted area. So I pulled to that on purpose just to make sure I was off the racing line and trying to be safe, basically.
In the darkness, it's quite hard to see the exits and the apices of the corners. But amazingly, the sector times are still more or less on par with those the drivers were doing during the day.
It's not massively different, to be fair. I think the lower temperatures help the engine, so anything you might lose a little bit with your eyesight, you get a little bit more performance out of the car.
It's nearly midnight. That means we're almost halfway. In all the classes, we have some battle, especially in the A6 class. Actually, from the first lap, the car of Herbert Motorsport and also the car of Scrivia Praha are constantly in a battle, and also the car of GPX is in between. So that's a very tight battle at the moment. Also in the TCE division, that's very exciting. Top car looks that it's a little bit easy. He's a few laps away from the rest, but like I said, we're only halfway. So we're still 12 hours ago. A lot can happen.
This is endurance.
We also do sprint racing, but endurance, endurance is everything. The team spirit, the drivers together, the team together, although the organization of the races, the darkness, everything coming together is really absolutely exciting, and that makes endurance.
It's night time in Portimao, the fifth race of the 2019 Hankook 24-hour series season. This race will have more than one victor at the end of the contest, multiple categories, and that means there's a winner in each class.
Well, during this race we have the classes A6 Pro, A6 AM, SPX, 991, GT4, TCR and A3. And they all divided in two divisions, the GT division and TCE division.
With two divisions, there's an extra couple of podiums, so if you get on the division top three, you'll go home with two trophies, one for the division and one for your own class.
Well, this year we have several races, and two races, the 24 Hours Portimao and 24 Hours Barcelona, are a part of the European and Continental standings. And the best result of those two races will count towards the Continental standing.
So how do we calculate the Continental standings?
The points for Dubai will count for 100%. The points for Kota will also count for 100%. The best result of Portimao or Barcelona will count towards the Continental standings. So if you receive more points in Barcelona than in Portimao, those points will count for the Continental standings. However, if you receive more points in Portimao, then the points for this race will count.
Been a lot of action in this FIA-sanctioned 24-hour endurance series race in the Algarve region of Portugal, but after 12 hours, we're still only halfway through, and the Nordschleife Racing 172 is in its pit garage.
So we have two issues. Driver complaints about vibrations in the car and loss of power. So first issue was the front left drive shaft. we fixed it really quickly. And we have another issue since beginning of the race, and now it's really big. It's the coil. So we have the connector of the coil that are a little bit damaged, and so it cuts the engine and we lose a lot of power. So it's some part in the track, but for sure we are losing some time. So it's why we are fixing these two issues just now.
Not always easy to drive at night, as Ingo Vogler in the car collection number 34 finds out. He gets himself out of the gravel and continues. However, on another part of the track, the race leader in TCE is not as lucky.
Well, I was driving to the turn 10-11. It's quite a high hill to go there. And once I got there, I noticed there was some slow-moving, kind of a crawling car in front of me, and just tried to avoid the crash to that one. And I turned to the left and I went to the gravel. And when we went to the gravel, it actually damaged the radiator and all the liquid came out of it, and that was it then.
Code 60 causing the stint for Klaus Bachler to be cut short.
Yeah, it was just 15 or 20 minutes because we had a puncture before my teammate, and he came in, was not planned, but I jumped in then after him because from the driving time it made sense. And then a code 60 came and we changed back again. So it was just 15 to 20 minutes.
Drama, a little bit of smoke. As we get closer, it's the Herbeth number 91. This is the car that's been battling for the series championship, and it's out.
Went out of the last corner and suddenly I got a warning in the dash, so fuel pressure, and there must be something wrong with the engine. And yeah, then I looked in the mirror and I saw fire, so I stopped the car on the right side. Yeah, now we have to retire the race. Big damage on the car. Hopefully we get it done for Spa 24 hour.
He overtook me, and honestly to say, I was not able to drive with him 3 corners because he was pretty quickly. So he were maybe too quick, too fast.
The problem was a ruptured fuel rail. The marshals were very quick to extinguish the fire.
Well, it was really good. They were really quickly. Yeah, thanks to the guys, they did a great job.
717 Mark II Coupe V8 have been dealing with issues for quite a long time, and now the team has more or less retired the car.
The engine after a couple of hours started to use a lot of oil, so we stretched it out till like 15 hours. But then we have so much pressure in the engine that start to blow oil out, so which is dangerous for the competitors and also dangerous that the car can caught fire. It's still running, so we will do the last couple of laps to make sure that we get to the finish, because that's what my drivers want. But basically it's end of story.
As daylight is almost back with us, we'll look back fondly on the nighttime hours.
Yeah, I had some great action in the night. I had 2 double stints in the night, so a lot of driving in the night, and it was quite fun, yeah. A lot of overtake, some risky moments, but it was quite fun, yeah. The car was great, the team did a great job.
All through the night, there's been a battle for the lead in the 911 class for Porsches, and it's not over yet.
We've been battling with Duo, sort of exchanging positions. I think we'd had the lead for about 3 hours or so. They're ahead of us right now. The car's been brilliant, no real problems.
It's quite difficult because we have speed stop, have a time. I am drive at night, and my time is not so good because it's first time I racing at night.
6 hours of racing to go. Here's how it stands. Jordan Grogan, Nicky Pastorelli and Alexandra Cuno have worked hard during the night. At midnight, they were 4 laps down to the race leader. They've reduced that gap to just a single lap. So whilst Bohemia Energy number 11 Ferrari is still in the lead, number 24 GPX Racing Porsche is getting closer. And the 93 are doing well, 3rd position overall right now. In TCE, the demise of the 131 Top Car Sport team has handed the lead to the number 112 Autorama. The AC Motorsport number 188 has a 12-lap gap to the race leader. 3rd, the Nordschleifer Racing 172, a further 6 laps back. Of course, the majority of the entrants are series regulars, but there are teams and manufacturers who use events in the Hankook 24-hour series to test or present their new vehicles. The current AMG GT3, for instance, had its first endurance outing, at the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. And today, Mercedes-AMG is back.
What is very special about this event is the new AMG that is going to drive its first laps ever under race conditions here. We're open to give manufacturers the opportunity to test these sort of cars under competition circumstances. It's great to see that they picked this circuit in our series for such a test.
This new Mercedes-AMG has been tested by Kenneth Heyer, a veteran endurance racer.
We have some difference on the front, so we feel that the car is much more direct on the front tires, and when you turn in, it's really, really good. So that was one of the goals, I think, where they want to have a little improvement. But we still develop. It's the beginning of the testing, and first very hard test was the 24 hours.
But it's not just professional drivers that the factory have invited for this test.
Mercedes wanted not only feedback from their factory drivers, but they wanted some of their typical customer drivers like myself to drive the car and give them the feedback on what we felt like, was the car was doing.
So what's different about the new car?
The idea is to upgrade the current model rather than homologate an entirely new car for the next 3 years. That's favorable for team owners like myself, so that we don't have to invest in entirely new cars. We can simply put the upgrades on. And the upgrades are largely cosmetic and largely to make the cars easier to work on and more price effective to work on. It's not really so much of a performance thing.
This weekend also saw a test from a future entrant.
Prior to this race, the Ligier JS2R was doing a few hot laps. They're planning to prepare the car for racing, also under night conditions. We're looking forward to see this car compete in the 24-hour series in the future.
Rick Breukers, the lucky driver to get behind the wheel of this new Ligier.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a few laps in a new car, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great car for gentlemen drivers, but also for professional drivers who can show how quick they are.
This is a special version of the car.
We made this car for the 50th anniversary of Ligier. The look of the car is based on the car of the GS2 of 1975, who did second in Le Mans. And this car was built for the specific championship in France, the Ligier GS Cup.
This one is a normal edition, it's a cup edition, but they are working on the endurance version. That's why they are here, and they are trying to fix these several things and to talk with professionals in endurance.
I think whoever drives this car will love it instantly. It's just a nice car, and it's really easy to be quick in. So for every kind of driver, it will be interested to have a go in this car.
With the GT and TCE divisions racing on the track at the same time, it's a given that here in the Creventic organised Hankook 24-hour series, there is plenty of overtaking. Of course, the faster, normally GT cars, have to make sure that they make their passes in a safe way. Now, this normally goes very well, but in the battle between Jürgen Hering in the 94 Porsche and Matteo Malicelli in the number 11 Ferrari, it is Rick Breukers in the 101 Cupra who needs to take avoiding action.
Yeah, he was next to me and the turn, and I thought I was in front of him. I turn in, he turns in, but I think he didn't saw me, and he almost hit me, so I had to brake really hard. But it was a Ferrari behind me, so it was a sketchy moment, but good luck, nothing got hit or something.
The Nordschleifer Racing entry number 172 is in for a pit stop, and Michael Deroux goes straight into the pit garage. They're currently in third position, but they have 8 laps in hand over the 4th position car. That's the Cupra number 101, so they have got a bit of time to work with. But here's the Red Camel 101, also coming into their pit garage.
When we started the race, we had a problem with our suspension. One of the left rear suspension broke at the beginning of the race, and at the end of the race, the same thing happened, the same corner. So that cost 10 minutes repair, so it's now really difficult to get to P3.
The number 11 Ferrari still leads. They've got a couple of wins already this season on their result sheets.
This year is like this. We won 4 races with the new car. The new car is only wins. So for the moment we are really happy.
The team knows that a winning streak can't continue endlessly, and the spectre of defeat is always just around the corner.
Maybe in Barcelona, we don't know, or maybe I don't know, but it's difficult to win all the races.
It's a 5-lap lead now, but a 24-hour race with just 3 drivers is proving very difficult.
I prefer 12 hours, 14 hours, but 24 is really long.
Klaus Raeder has just finished his stint in what's called the golden hour. It's known as this because you can see the track clearly, but the track and ambient temperatures are ideal for the tyres and the car's engine.
It's perfect. The track was very fast, and yeah, it was nice. The sun was rising. It's the best time for racing.
Just over 3 hours to go. The AC Motorsport Audi, currently second in the TCE division, has stopped at the end of the main straight.
Well, the wheel broke off, so literally the bolts broke off. In the last corner, I was in the last corner, and the wheel just left the car, so that's not good. Well, I mean, it's not the best place to have it. It's quite a quick corner, and then you just miss the pit exit, so you have to travel across the straight. Yeah, so it didn't gain us any time, that's for sure.
The car is still in the race.
Well, we were P2 in class, and we had a bit of advantage on P3, but now we're losing quite some time. But we'll see in the end. I mean, we're going to fix it as quick as we can, and I'm going to jump in and try and get back in there.
Getting into his final stint in the new Mercedes-AMG GT3, Charles Putman.
The 500 car had a little bit of an incident last night before I got in it. Took a slight bit of contact and bent the steering a little bit, but the car doesn't seem to mind at all. It's driving straight on through it. It still feels good. I think really the pro drivers here, sort of like the mission I was given, is not so much to try to win this race, but just to see what the car is capable of, to try to wring it out and get the best we can out of it, and what the upgrades are doing.
Into the last 3 hours in this Hankook 24 Hours of Portimao. This is endurance.
Racing is fun because you have to test your limits and you're fighting against other guys, so it's really challenging and it's very exciting. It is the salt in life, it's racing.
Heat, sweat, pain, and hopefully a trophy at the end.
In the Hankook 24 Hours of Portimao, part of the FIA-sanctioned 24-hour endurance series, the GT and touring car runners are getting ready for the last hours of racing. So what do they expect?
We had a technical issue when we were on second or third position in the AM, and we lost 17 laps with that. So the 17 laps made that we for sure will not be on podium this race, and yeah, we cannot do much against it.
Last 3 hours, win. We want to win. That's it.
Expectations, we need to try and chase down the duo car. Well, we do our best, see what we get to.
Both of the 991 teams want the win, and the whole team is geared up for that.
Pit stop better, all is better. Our team and my friends is do what to be first.
The number 172 is fighting to stay in the TCR top 3, so they've lined up their best driver.
The last hours, it's Michel Salenbar come for the finish the race.
The 188 Audi from AC Motorsport did get back. It seems the wheel hub is not giving in that easily, but the hard work of the mechanics has paid off, and they'll send their car back out on the track, still displaying the green number 2 on the side. That means they haven't lost second position in the TCE division. The GT4 leader had a 10-lap lead, but now that needs the attention of its pit crew.
We had a small technical problem, which was caused when I was accelerating. The car didn't take the full throttle, so the engine electronic put us a failure inside. So for the safety mode, and then I had to come into the pit first, and hopefully, yeah, we can keep our lead.
Here's another battle for position. Klaus Creventic is chasing down Dan Wheeler in the Synchro Honda number 676. Now the cars are in 2 different classes, the orange TCR car against the red A3, but they are in the same TCE division, and this is for 4th position overall. Klaus gets past in the Cupra and extends his lead, but just a few laps later, he's in the barrier.
Yeah, big crash, turn 1. What I looked from the onboard was turn 1, something broke off on the left front, and more than I don't know, the most important thing is that the driver is okay. He's only to the medical center for checks, and this is just the worst thing you can imagine for racing, especially in the end of the race. It's really a pity we can't fix it anymore. Let's just hope Klaus is okay and we can do any more than this.
A broken brake disc ends the race for the Red Camel Jordan.NL number 101 Cupra. Maximum stint time 2 hours, and Charles Putman did just that, but in 2 cars.
It was a little bit tiring because I just got out of my car and into this one, but for sort of a back-to-back thing, if you will. But we've been running really good laps in the 85. We're in second place right now in the AM division. Unfortunately, with where the balance of performance is, but the car's running really good, and that's not to take anything away from the Herbert guys who are leading that AM division. They have some really fast guys in that car.
Meanwhile, the MRS number 980 is pushed through the pit lane.
Yeah, I just lost power in the last sector, and now the team saw that it was the diff, so they changed the diff now.
Hendrik can rest assured that this very young team manager is keeping an eye on her mechanics who are repairing the number 980 Porsche. Jiri Peserik is having a quick rest before his final stint.
So we have 2 hours till the end. The first hour I will sleep, and the second hour I go in the car. But I will not push anymore too much, just to keep some average pace and bring it to home.
The finish is getting closer, but it's not getting any easier on the track, where the temperatures are rising again.
Yeah, it was pretty hot. I drove 1.5 spins on the same tires. The track was pretty hot as well. It got hotter and hotter, so automatically more oversteer as well, and more slidey car. And I think all had a bit problems with that, so in the end it was pretty okay for that.
The number 676 Honda from Synchro Motorsport is leading the A3 class. They don't really have a chance of claiming a top 3 position in the TCE series. They're running 9 laps behind with less than an hour to go. That is until the Nordschleifer Racing number 172, who is running third, stops on track.
The car stopped in the track, and we don't know exactly why, because we have no radio in this car for the moment. And the engineer make expertise, and we discover quickly it's a pump in the tank fuel. I think it's possible to finish 3.
The number 172 back on the track and still in third with about a lap and a half in hand. The number 93 is leading their class, as well as being 4th overall.
We have no pressure from behind because we are 2 laps in front, but we are unfortunately 1 minute behind the third one. So we are not on the podium. Of course, we are on the podium from the AM, but not on the overall.
And the team that is currently 3rd overall has chosen Leonard Weiss to do the final laps of this race.
I was really nervous when I got into the car because we had Klaus Bachler in the back of us. So we were fighting for P3. David Puel did a good stint before me and made some space.
It's drama again for the number 172 from Nordschleifer Racing. They just had that car repaired and back out.
So we think it's probably something wrong on the harness, global harness, so we need to check everything and to fix it.
Endurance racing, what a tough sport. Losing a podium in the final 10 minutes of the race.
Yes, sure, it's endurance, so 24 hours and not 23 hours and 50 minutes. So it's like that. So sometimes it's for us and sometimes it's for the others.
Getting ready to rejoin the race, the number 717 from the Core Oyster team. Remember, their car failed during the night, but they are going to take that checkered flag. 24 hours of racing is complete. The pit wall is filled in the GT division with a 7-lap lead. Jiri Peserik claims victory for Bohemia Energy Racing with Scuderia Praha in the Hankook 24 Hours of Portimao. And an even bigger lead. Massive win in the TCE division. 19 laps the margin of victory as Ralf Hengler secures the top podium position for the number 112 Autorama Motorsport by Wolf Power Racing entry. In the GT division, overall victory once again goes to Scuderia Praha. Jiri keeping the car at a nice easy pace to avoid any technical issues at the end.
Lap before the end, the Honda Civic touched me from behind because I was too slow.
A big smile under the helmet of Alan James. It's his Honda Civic that, against all odds, did get onto the overall podium in TCE.
Overall podium, that's just unreal. For
for a car that we built ourselves. It's not a factory car. It's not a a manufacturer's car. We built this ourselves, and quite emotional about it, to be honest.
The TCE win once again goes to the Autorama Motorsport number 122.
Tomorrow's a really hard stint because you can hear every noise that the cars makes, but we are lucky that the cars survived this fight from the 24-hour series. It's my first win in this series, so I'm really happy, yes.
We had a great race. It was a great atmosphere. We had a lot of battles, enjoyment, sadness even at the last, as you saw the 172 from Nordschleife Racing. They were at the 3rd place in the overall, and I think 8 minutes before the end they had bad luck, and the number 3 Synchro was on the podium for the TCE overall. The GT division was exciting the whole race, and I think we have beautiful winners on the podium at the end.
And here are those winners. After 24 hours and 721 laps, the Bohemia Energy number 11 Ferrari 488 takes the GT win and maximum championship points. Second in GT, GPX Racing Porsche number 24, 2 laps back. 2 laps further back, the Wochenspiegel team Monschau Ferrari and number 22 claims 3rd. In the TCE division, it's the TCR Autorama Volkswagen Golf, completing 641 laps, that takes the top step. AC Motorsports number 188 Audi RS3 second overall, 3rd overall, and first in the A3 class, the Honda number 676 from Synchro Motorsport. In the GT classes, of course, it's the number 11 Bohemia Energy team that take home the trophy for A6 Pro. The number 93 Herbert Motorsport take the win in A6 AM. In SPX, only the Leiper Motorsport number 710 completed enough laps, and therefore they are the winners. In the 991 category, it's the number 909 Porsche that takes the win for Duo Racing. In GT4, the number 50 of Hoffer Racing takes the top step. And the classes in the TCE division has the Autorama number 112 taking the top step in that class, as well as the Honda FK8 Civic from Synchro Motorsport proudly win the A3 class.
The next race will be next month, so actually after the summer break, and then we will be in the beautiful Barcelona on the beautiful circuit de la Catalunya, where we have the next race, also in 24-hour race. So yeah, again, a lot of excitement.
After the excitement of this 3rd edition of the Hankook 24 Hours of Portimao, the action will continue after our summer break on the 31st of August and the 1st of September. It's the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona. But after that, in October, the TCR Spa 500 in Belgium, and in November, the 24 Hours of COTA USA. Be there at any or all of these as a spectator, or better still, as a competitor. All the information you need is at 24hseries.com.